Okay. Do the pledge. Jason?
Absolutely. Salute pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mike? Gracious Father, we thank you for bringing us here today. Lord, we ask for your wisdom. We ask that you would help us, Lord, to make the right choices and just to do your will.
Yes.
In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Okay, Andrew, will you do the announcement of closed session, please?
Thank you, Chair. The board met in closed session. Two items have been continued to the end of the open session, and the performance evaluation of the fair manager was held.
Okay, thank you. Move to agenda approval. Any additions or deletions?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda presented. I'll second it.
Okay, motion made by Supervisor Bridges, second by Supervisor Scanlon. Anybody from the public? Seeing none, bring it back up here for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, we're gonna move to 3, public comment. Is there anybody from the public that would like to make a comment on anything that is not on the agenda?
One speaker.
Do I
Okay,
stand up? Thank you.
and it's not on the agenda? Okay, so.
So, thank you guys and
State your name, Gabe, and you'll have 3 minutes to do your public.
if I go over 3 minutes, you're gonna cut me off.
If it's 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
So my name is Gabe Williams, and I just want to thank you guys for letting me come in here and speak quickly and briefly on the recent decision by the College Board of Trustees to discontinue the gunsmithing program. I know you guys are not a governing body for the college, but I'm here to let you guys know about a new committee that's being formed or has been formed by myself and some friends. It's the Lassen Gunsmithing Action Committee, and what we are going to try to do is to work with the Board of Trustees and the Lassen College president to try to find a pathway forward to continue the gunsmithing program that we believe is very important and plays a vital role in the educational opportunities, especially vocational educational opportunities in rural contexts such as Lassen County. Real briefly, some notes on the gunsmithing program. It's almost a 100-year-old program. As you guys know, it's the oldest gunsmithing program in the United States of America. So it has a lot of historical precedence and importance for this community. Something that gets overlooked with the gunsmithing program, that it teaches far more than firearm repair and craftsmanship. I'm going to read from my notes because there's no way I'm going to remember all this. Students gain welding, machining, metalworking, precision measurement, CNC fundamentals, and engineering-related problem-solving skills that are in high demand in today's workforce. Industries across the region are desperate for welders, machinists, tool makers, and technicians. These are high-wage, high-skill careers that help support families and sustain local economies like ours. And by discontinuing the program, it's my belief that the College Board of Trustees is going to create a further shortfall of skilled labor for vocational, I knew if I left my notes, I was going to get lost. For manufacturing, fabrication, and industrial maintenance. We're a new committee. We're not here to criticize the decision of the board. of trustees, but we are here because we believe in a collaborative effort that can bring forth solutions. The Action Committee is committed to working with college leadership, faculty, students, community members, business partners, and alumni to identify realistic and actionable strategies to make the program sustainable for the long term. We want to build a viable plan, but we cannot do that if the door to partnership is closed. The board's current decision effectively ends the conversation before it has even begun. So I'm asking for you guys, an influential board in this county, to please throw your weight and your support behind our newly formed committee that'll help us hit the ground running and begin the conversation, begin the dialogue with the College Board of Trustees about potential solutions and pathways forward to restart the gunsmithing program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, is there anybody else that would like to have public comment for something that's not on the agenda? All right, seeing none, we'll close public comment. And we'll move to unagendized reports by board members. Mike, you want to start us off?
Sure. Pull up my notes real quick. I just lost my computer.
You want me to go ahead?
Sure.
I'll go ahead while you're pulling up. On the 31st, I went up to Uptown Halloween, and man, those kids are candy eaters. They were energized by the time the evening was over. On 11/6, I attended a CSAC Zoom. On 11/10, I had a behavioral health meeting at 5:30 that evening. And I'm sorry to say that I missed the Veterans Day Parade. I spent 4.5 hours in a dentist chair, so that's a pretty good reason. I haven't missed a parade in years. But anyway, on yesterday, I attended a First Five meeting for Lassen County, First Five. And then I attended Big Valley VBAC. Tom, I want to thank you for covering for me for PSA 2. Thank you. That's it.
Ready?
Sure. On November 4th, I attended the Lassen County Planning Commission meeting. On the same date, 11/4, I met with the fair manager and toured the fairgrounds. Discussion about fair operations. And then later today, I've got a Hunter Lake Valley Recreation pool meeting. That's it for me.
Is that today?
Wonderful.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. I thought that was tomorrow.
Changed your plans, didn't it?
Yeah. Jason?
Sure. Over the break, we had a Ravendale food distribution with the Salvation Army. Attended various Zooms, EMS Zooms, LCTC and LTSA in person. I want to thank the Salvation Army for being one of the greatest partners in helping feed everybody throughout District 5 and Lassen County. Next month, we're teaming up with the Salvation Army to do extensive food pantries in Doyle, Hurlong, Standish, and everywhere throughout District 5. I wanted to thank them for all that they do for us. Also, Ringing the Bells is coming up. They wanted to host another Battle of the Elected Officials. I'm hoping to schedule something for the beginning of December. So if anybody's interested, please contact me and I'll get with Carla and Tina and figure out a date and time so we could do that again. That'd be a lot of fun. I also wanted to thank Natalie, our newest public health director, for gathering a bunch of food and contacting us and seeing who's in need. I'm hoping to have a little bit of time after this meeting, swing by there and grab some of that and get it delivered down to the foods and schools in Hurlong. Also, there's a Sierra Alliance meeting tomorrow night. If anybody else is interested, we're going to have another runway update, and some of the plans have already been set in stone, and some of the environmental stuff's been done. So if anybody's interested, and that's all I got.
Thanks. Aaron?
Thank you. Let's see. First off, I just want to say thank you to the residents of Lassen County, for showing up to vote on Prop 50. We have the smartest individuals in the state. We're the ones that voted no the highest, even beat Modoc, so that was very impressive. It's sad that we have to go through this, but anyway, we did. On the third, we had the school did a Veterans Day program, and it was very good to see veterans come from all over, from Bernie to Alturas, and it was very good. Mr. McGarvey, you showed up. Thank you for doing that with a couple of his deputies or past military. So that was a very good program the school put on. Then the following day on the 4th, the cattlemen and cattlewomen, they did a veterans lunch. Thanks all the 4-H kids and veterans for showing up for that. It was another very good turnout. Had to be back yesterday. You know, it's the same thing. The states tell us we have to go through all this stuff, but yet they won't let us do a boundary modification and accept it to move forward. We try to do this, but yet they say we can write our own plan, but yet we can't write our own plan. It's just really rubs me the wrong way. Anyway, also on the 5th of November, I went down to Sacramento, attended the RCRC executive committee meetings, and fearless leaders here. I'll let him talk about it. He's much more eloquent and articulate than I am, so we can, he'll tell us about RCRC and what's going on there. And then, let's see, when was this last Friday, the Department of Fish and Predators, they showed up to go collar some wolves up in Big Valley. They brought their helicopter in and didn't notify anybody, so everybody was calling me asking what was going on. I have no idea. And of course, you know, Nate, tried calling him. He doesn't call me back until Monday. And Chuck, you tried calling me yesterday at BBAC meeting. I should have walked out and took that, but I didn't. So I still have yet to have contact with him. But anyway, it's silliness and goofiness on my part. It's a waste of our taxpayer dollars, but what the heck do I know? I'm just a silly rat. Other than that, I think that's all I got.
All right, thanks. So on November 10th, I attended the LTSA meeting and LTCTC meeting. And yesterday I attended the PSA 2 on Zoom. And I would like to close the meeting in honor of Janelle Wemple. She was a longtime member of the community, teacher, principal. She impacted a lot of our youth's lives, and she'll be greatly missed. And with that, will be it.
Oh, I got one of
Oh, yes, go ahead.
You know, today, if I struggle, I'm sorry, but I'm going from paper to computer, so we'll see how this works out. I'm struggle bus, so
Oh, yeah.
trying to catch up to you, Mike.
And Michelle went from computer to paper.
Now show me. Oh, yeah,
Michelle,
show you.
You're leading by example. I'm following you.
Okay, so we are going to move on to public hearing C1, the planning and building services.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members, Galen Ola, Planning and Building Services Department. So we have a rather simple ordinance that we're proposing for you, and I'll get into it, but this is a public hearing in accordance with Government Code 65856 to consider proposed ordinance amending section 18.64.050, which is the area requirement of chapter 18.64 OS Open Space District of the Lassen County Code. The proposed change will remove a provision which implies that legal parcels cannot be conveyed. The proposed ordinance is exempt from California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to CEQA guidelines section 15061B3. The action requested is to receive the report from staff and recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission, conduct a public hearing, and 3, to introduce and adopt by title only the proposed ordinance. So this is there's a section in the open space ordinance which implies that the parcel can't be sold. So if you look on page 9 of 13 of your packet, you'll see the strikeout there where it says or separated in any manner, implying that it can't be sold. It implies that. So we're just removing that. If we can't control an open space district being conveyed or sold. So we want to remove that that or separated in any manner from the ordinance. And that's really all this is. The planning commission met and adopted a resolution recommending approval. The planning commission resolutions in your packet. The minutes from the planning commission meeting are also in your packet. And that's it. It's really rather simple. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I was just curious how it was even in there to begin with. I mean, of course,
Because someone put it in there when the ordinance was adopted. So that was the language that was adopted in 1984.
what's,
So in 84, it was put in there.
well, it's never stopped anybody from selling their open space property, right?
We can't control people.
Right.
But we shouldn't have language in our ordinance that it implies that you can't either.
I agree.
So we're just correcting the language in our ordinance.
I was just curious.
Anybody else from up here?
Try to make it 40 years, Galen.
It hasn't, because it hasn't risen to attention and it hasn't been an issue. It's just something that reviewing our zoning ordinance that we noticed and thought that at some point we should correct. It hasn't been a super high priority because it hasn't been an issue. But
I know, it's just amazing. It hasn't come up in 40 years.
yeah,
Well, Galen's got a bag of fixes that he wants to bring to you in a serial fashion. But well done on that staff report, Galen. Oh, wait, I wrote that one. I found a typo, actually. And he's got a list of stuff that we want to correct, and it's just either patently wrong or it just the language doesn't make sense anymore because most people don't know what a millinery shop is.
Are you gonna enlighten us?
Hat shop.
What?
Hat shop.
Hat shop
Mhm.
is millinery.
Millinery.
Learn something new every day.
Oh, you said it.
Okay, so we gotta open up the
yes.
hearing at 10:19. And is there anybody in favor? Is there anybody opposed? Okay, seeing none, we'll close it at 10:19. Okay,
Got a question for Maury. Do we need to have a second reading of this before we adopt it?
I can
I'm not
answer
the
that.
planning director.
I can answer that if you'd like me to.
Yes.
No, you don't. Zoning ordinances are treated differently. There's a public hearing at the planning commission and there's a public hearing at the board of supervisors. So it is an ordinance that can be introduced and adopted at the same meeting by the board of supervisors. And that section of government code is referenced in your action on the agenda.
What page is that?
On page 1 of 13, it says, public hearing in accordance with government code section 65856. So if you look at government code section 65856, it says it can be introduced and adopted at the same meeting if a public hearing was conducted at the planning commission.
I'm so glad you know all that by
So
heart.
basically, you did get your 2 hearings,
Gotcha.
but only Galen could say that without looking. Impressive.
Okay,
Very impressive.
so,
I'd like to make a motion
okay,
to receive the report from staff and their recommendation. Having conducted a public hearing, I'd like to introduce and adopt by title only the proposed ordinance.
Second.
okay. Motion made by Supervisor Scanlon, seconded by Supervisor Ingram. Anybody else from the public want to make one more comment? Seeing none. All those in favor,
It's a roll call vote.
roll call vote.
Supervisor Scanlon,
Yes.
Supervisor Bridges,
Yes.
Supervisor Alba.
Yeah.
Supervisor Ingram.
Aye.
Supervisor Neely.
Yes. Okay, motion passes. Okay, we're going to move on to, C2, the, rural county representative of California.
Thank you.
Appreciate the opportunity to be here before you today and share a little bit of information about RCRC. I know you have the presentation in your packets and it looks like they'll bring it up on the screen, but I wanted to say at the beginning that I hope you'll stop me anywhere where you've got questions or want to provide any feedback. It's been a couple of years, I think, since I was last here and had a chance to do it. And it's always helpful for me to hear what's on your mind so I can make sure I carry it back to the team back at RCRC. So please don't hesitate to stop me along the way as we go. My name is Pat Blacklock. I'm the CEO there at RCRC. I get to work with Supervisor Albaugh, who capably represents you at the RCRC board, and we'll talk a little about some of our affiliate group as well. I don't know who I turn to click through. Maybe go one more slide. There you go. So I wanted to start just kind of giving you a sense of the issues that we address at RCRC. Hopefully these aren't a surprise to you. Our board did adopt a new strategic plan back in December, and you'll see things like health services, broadband, rural education and research, we'll talk a little bit more about in a minute, forest resilience, resource management, topics like that. But one thing I like to express when I'm here before boards is that our board has set sort of a dual vision for us. One is to be an advocate in Sacramento and in DC, and the second is to be an innovative service provider for rural counties. And we'll think of it this way, that when there's a challenge too big for a small county, they come to us to see if we can get economy to scale through 40 counties. And over time, we have spun up new entities, both public and private, to address those needs. And so we'll talk a little bit about both as we go through the presentation. I wanted to start, though, with advocacy and the work that we do in that area. And in particular, you'll see on the box there in the bottom, key topics. These are some of the things that we are working on right now. And one of the things that our board does is it forms ad hoc committees to address issues of key interest to rural counties. So we have a recruitment and retention of employees ad hoc. I know I was talking to one county, they had 100% vacancy rate in their behavioral health therapists. I know that high vacancy rate permeates throughout rural counties across classifications. So it's not unique to just that particular job title. It's pretty widespread. So that ad hoc is having their second meeting this week, and they are going to look at a couple of things. One is looking at the state of the problem, gathering some data, but then also updating our policy that could then drive future legislation. Secondly is our Predator Management Ad Hoc Committee. I want to thank Supervisor Albaugh for being a member of that committee. Certainly wolves are foremost, I think, in the discussion, but they're also looking at mountain lions and bears as well as they go through that. And we've got representation from all the way south to Santa Barbara County and Inyo County and all the way north to Lassen County and Siskiyou County on that particular ad hoc. And I think they have had 2 meetings, am I remember correctly?
2 meetings. I forgot to bring that up. We just had one last week.
With more to come. And then ultimately the same thing, that they will bring about solutions that ultimately come to the RCRC board, and then that informs our advocates when working across the street. But I think they're also going to direct conversations with Chuck Bonham and others, if I understand the trajectory of the committee and next steps there. State mandates is something that we've leaned into. I'm a former county administrator, and I can tell you that 20 years ago, there was a lot of work done to file test claims to get mandate reimbursements, and we had quite an apparatus in place statewide. Then the individual leading that effort retired, and it sort of went dormant. And if you were over the last decade, I'd say there hasn't been a lot done. And so we pulled together everybody to restart that effort, and we've begun filing our first test claims. And RCRC will do that work on behalf of rural counties, and we've actually contracted with someone to do that work. And then the big counties, they have staff basically in-house that they're doing that work, and we're working together. And the reason we're working together with the big counties is that when legislation is passed that triggers a mandate, you have a year from when you first have an expense related to that mandate to file a test claim. And once the test claim goes before the Mandates Commission and they approve it, that's when reimbursement can start to flow to counties. Well, big counties, they hit that early on, and maybe they missed that 1-year window. But I can tell you there's a claim out there that's over 20 years, or a mandate that's over 20 years old that some of our smallest counties have not hit yet. And so what we're doing is working to figure out, okay, can we have a small county file a claim that the big counties missed, and the big counties get the lead on some of the more newer stuff and work together to do that. And so recently, Sutter County, the city of Sacramento, and Santa Clara County partnered and all filed a test claim. And the reason they filed 3 test claims is it gives a greater chance of success. Just saying that there's a lot happening behind the scenes on mandates to ensure that the monies that are due are going to start flowing. And we may be calling upon Lassen County in the future to help develop one of those claims. And by develop a claim, it means we need your help documenting costs. We'll then prepare the claim and file it, but we need small counties to help us with preparing that data. And one area we're looking at is advanced clean fleets. We're going to approach that as though it's a mandate, and the cost that you are going to incur as a result should be reimbursed in the mandate claims. So that's an example of one, but there's a dozen more in the hopper. Jail Medical Services, Lassen County is participating as part of a regional effort that we have there, where you may know that I think it's over 30 counties are represented by a single vendor in terms of jail medical services. That then there was concern about that situation even before that vendor went through bankruptcy earlier this year. So we began working with a group of CAOs, and I think we've got 5 different regions throughout the state to ask the question, do you want to look at what the long-term options are? And if you do you want to do that regionally? And if so, we're happy to convene. We're happy to help support that. And that's the work that's been going on. And so we released an RFP about 3 weeks ago, and it's asking respondents to basically look at the regions, look at how jail medical services are currently provided, and then look at what options there may be longer term. And it could be that there's regional options around regional procurement and regional administration of the contracts, or it could be even regional solutions in terms of a public agency model. We don't know. Point is to do that work, get that research done so that you, Lassen, but a whole host of other counties kind of have a longer term assessment of what those options may be going forward. I can tell you with some certainty the costs are not going to go down. They're going to go up as a result, particularly coming out of a bankruptcy proceeding. Some of the counties that are signing new contracts with the vendor are seeing significant cost increases as a result. So I think the sense of urgency to do this analysis is pretty acute, particularly with the counties that may have just gone through an RFP and recruitment or procurement process for bringing on a vendor. The good news is there are a couple of new vendors out there, so there is some increased competition happening in the state, but it would definitely have it on your radar. It's a high cost item that is only going to increase in costs in the foreseeable future. And then lastly, the sleeper is indigent health planning. Lassen County is a member of CMSP, the County Medical Services Program, and I don't know if anybody was on the board pre-2013, but if you were, at that point, Welfare and Institution Code 7, Section 17,000 requires the county to be the provider of last resort of healthcare for the indigent population. And so up until 2013, you provided that service through the County Medical Services Program. They were funded through realignment funding, and the county often paid a participation fee to CMSP to provide that service. Affordable Care Act came along, it changed the dynamic, and the state ultimately pulled all that funding from counties and from CMSP and redirected it, but did not undo Welfare and Institution Code Section 17,000. So now as we have changes coming in Medi-Cal and Medicare, counties once again going to be the provider of last resort for health insurance for the indigent population. And none of that law, Welfare and Institution Code Section 17,000, nor the associated case law has changed. It's all just there. In fact, somewhere in your ordinances, you have, or policies, you have a reso that spells out what your indigent healthcare program looks like. And that is all still active and all going to come into effect, but the funding's been stripped. So we're working with CMSP, we're working with CSAC, putting together groups so we can be unified and going to the legislature, who again, most of them were not there pre-2013 and have no knowledge of this, to say, this can't stand. If Welfare and Institution Code Section 17,000 is going to stay where it is, then the funding that was once associated with it and paid for those programs needs to return. It's going to be a tough road to hoe for sure. But that's, I would characterize as the sleeper in the room. I was in a non-CMSP county, 10% of our general fund was paying for indigent healthcare prior to the changes that came along. So that gives you a sense of the order of magnitude of costs if we're not able to find not able to get funding redirected. On that cheery note, that's what I have under the advocacy slide. I'm going to switch to some of our affiliate entities, but I want to pause to see if you have any questions on anything on this slide before I do.
Yeah, I do on the recruitment and retention for employees. How are you going to help the smaller, are you helping the smaller counties do?
Good question. I think that's part of that's the very question the ad hoc is going to be asked, is what can we do to help? I don't pretend to have all the answers standing here today, but certainly you were talking about your community college and vocational training and programs like that. Probably going to have to lean a little bit more into that space to help get those pipelines developed, because as a small county, I'm sure you know, you've got to grow your own. You're not going to be out recruiting from larger counties in all likelihood to bring those individuals here. So you've got to have a pipeline and a process to develop and have those develop your own, basically, to fill those positions. And so the question is maybe, as the ad hoc looks at that, how can we help and how can we work with the legislature to help nurture efforts like that? That's just one example. I'm sure the ad hoc can have a whole host of other solutions they'll want to propose, but I cite that just as one.
So you guys are just exploring it right now? You
Yeah,
don't
well,
have any,
it's
plan moving forward.
the county supervisors that are part of that ad hoc, they will develop that plan as part of the ad hoc committee process. And typically our ad hocs go for about 8, 9 months, something like that. So they started in September. Over the next 6 months, say, they'll be putting together the plan, exactly what you're talking about. And then ultimately that plan will go to our board for consideration and adoption, and then we'll start implementation. Any other questions on this?
It's kind of like the predatory. I mean, we had the Williamson Act when I sat on that, and now I'm sitting on the predatory one. It's kind of the same thing. You get the supervisors. It's myself, Michael Cobseth, Kevin Goss from Plumas,
Jan Roser.
Jen Roser from Inyo, Bob Nelson from Santa Barbara. I want to say there's one, Madeline Klein
Yes.
from Mendocino. And so I'll talk about the issues that we have here, and then we try to get together some policy changes within the policy and guidelines of RCRC. And then from that, you get to talking to like Chuck Bonham and Wade Crowfoot, Kevin Wilbur from the CCA, California County Association. So we're trying to get other entities and organizations all working together with the same goal to move an issue forward. Whether it's predatory animals, it's the jail medical or detention improvement. Trying to put all these things together to make the biggest impact we have, and then RCRC can go out to the other affiliated CSAC, whoever else, other organizations will impact to help try to drive the policy in Sacramento and or at the federal level.
Yes, exactly.
So how about on the jail? You have, local sheriffs involved in that?
On the jail medical, so we asked county administrators to make sure they were working with their sheriffs, so the sheriffs were informed as they go forward. We did do some outreach to CSSA. Ultimately, it's too much for us to manage to bring everybody together, so we looked at the county administrators to be the local contact to make sure the behavioral health director, sheriff, public health director, anybody that's involved in the administration of jail medical services contract was there to help us with.
And what feedback, have you guys got any feedback?
I think there's a pretty good sense that it's a big challenge right now, and there's no good solution. Fresno County is one that just recently went through an RFP, got the same vendor with a significant cost increase. So that's not a great sustainable solution, and that's what we're seeing replicated right now. I think there's reticence. I would be reticent if I was a county administrator to look at a public agency model where the county is providing, employees provide it. But at the same time, in the current environment, you have increasing litigation. You have, in some cases, the vendor not defending that litigation. County is frustrated with that. You have increasing expectations for behavioral health care in the jails. And county is frustrated with the level of service being provided. So you have a perfect dynamic of frustration, increasing costs, for the most part, only a single vendor who went bankrupt last year. So the whole point of this ad hoc is to say, are there any other better options? And those any other better options could be, for example, groupings of counties doing an RFP for jail medical care and then regionally administering it. It could be a public agency model, but maybe through a joint powers agency or some of the mechanism to shield some of the liability that could be associated with it. And it can be looking at what are the national, there's a National Correctional Healthcare Association that has an accreditation standard. And it can be looking at, okay, what would it cost to reach that accreditation standard? We know it'll be a cost increase in the beginning, but it may, in the long run, have a positive return on investment because you're reducing litigation associated with jails. And you may not have experienced it here yet in Lassen, but for many of the counties, they're seeing, I think there's about 3 entities in the state that come in and they litigate. And when they go through with litigation, it's Yuba County that had, I think they went from roughly $1.5 million budget to a $4 million jail medical budget as an outcome of that litigation. Well, that's not sustainable. But if we can identify what those accreditation standards are and find a pathway to get there, that may help reduce the risk of that happening in the future. I think your sheriff's in the room. I thought I saw law enforcement present here, and I'm sure it's a conversation amongst the sheriffs as well, the challenges in the current environment. I think there are some little bit of good news. In Monterey County and a few other counties have seen, I think there's 2 other vendors out there bidding now. So hopefully that's going to help having not a monopoly, but multiple bidders out there in terms of cost. But the dynamic of litigation driving increased costs in the jail is probably not going away anytime soon. We've got to find a pathway there.
Well, yeah, and 2, I mean, it's the state that's dumping a lot of our good citizens onto the county.
The state is not helping, that's for
And,
sure.
and so, you know, and they gave realignment funding, so you guys should be going after some more realignment funding to help mitigate them dumping their problems onto us.
100%. The state has not been helpful on this front. And a challenge, and we'll talk about it in a minute with RAI, is that the legislature tends to be totally unfamiliar with some of these impacts. And so we have a big challenge ahead of us in terms of education and bringing up an awareness. And that's part of what we'll talk about with why RAI was brought back to life.
So we got,
I'll keep moving and feel free to stop me along the way. I know you probably got other items on the agenda, but I just want to talk about our affiliates, Golden State Finance Authority and National Home Buyers Fund. They basically help individuals with home purchasing primarily, but Golden State Finance Authority has also been the launching pad for some of our other affiliates and provided the initial seed funding to get them going. Go to the next slide. One thing I wanted to note is in Lassen County, I think you've had 4 employees buy homes now through our Assist to Own program. This is something that the board put in place about 3 years ago as a way to help with recruitment and retention of county employees. And basically, if you're a county employee and you want to buy a home, you can get down payment assistance through the RCRC Golden State Finance Authority program at 0 cost. That means interest never accrues, payments are never due. That down payment assistance just sits there as a second until such time as you sell the home, or at 30 years, you would need to refinance it. But in that time, it never accrues interest and no payments are due. So it's become pretty popular. Tulare County had over 28 employees use the program, and it's a way to, like I say, help with recruitment and retention. We're about almost getting to using up our initial funding that the board put towards it. We'll be going back to the board at some point, I think, to put more into that. On all these programs, one thing I'd say is if you want us to talk to a Realtors Association or Chamber, whatever we can do to help increase awareness, HR, if they want to put on a webinar for county employees, we're happy to do that and get that word out so that people realize that this is a public agency trying to help with recruitment and retention and not some for-profit outside entity. Next slide.
And that's a huge asset, you know, to trying to get somebody, I mean, for our recruitment, and I mean, it's just huge. And it's very beneficial. I'm surprised more people haven't used it. I don't know how to get it out there.
Well, I'm happy to see 4 have. That's good. One of the things we've done in other counties, if you have HR does something like a county employee fair for services and programs that are offered, benefits that are offered, we'll have someone come up participate. If you want to do a webinar, we'll have individuals do that, a lunchtime webinar, something like that. Whatever we can do to help, we want to do it.
Is this program only for first-time home buyers or is it any
No.
county employee for any?
Any county employee, correct?
We could also blast out a pamphlet to employees for advertisement of this program.
I think it'd be good.
It's great.
well, and I would like to see you guys come up and meet with the local realtors.
Happy to do it
So that
because we have programs beyond.
come and- I mean, they want to sell a home, so.
Sure. Yeah, we're happy to do it. I think we've got about over 70 lenders that we work with in California. And so it's important that the lenders and realtors be aware because we're not working directly with the employer, the consumer typically. It's the realtor or lender who will say to them, hey, if you need some assistance, here's a program that can do it. So we're happy to do it.
And you guys have put it out there before and it hasn't happened, so. I'd
Yeah,
like to see it happen.
yeah, if someone can help connect us with, like I said, a realtors group or association, whatever you have, happy to do that.
I'd be glad to help.
Does this apply for only like 30-year traditional loans or does this apply for, say, a owner carry property that's reported through a title company?
Now you've gone beyond my technical knowledge, but we have folks that can help you with that and answer that for sure. So moving on then, our newest public agency is Golden State Connect Authority. I think it had just come to life last time I was here. It's a joint powers agency made up of the same 40 counties. And it was brought to life out of recognition. There was a lot of money coming for broadband and high-speed internet, and small counties didn't have the capacity to go after those grants. So we formed GSCA, and in the first year pulled down about 30 million, including $1 million between Susanville and Lassen County for engineering for fiber deployment. And that work has been completed. Now we've been awarded about 185 million to go out and actually construct a publicly owned last mile fiber system to rural communities. You can see the counties, unfortunately, Lassen was not awarded to us, but you can see the counties that were. We are on Thursday, we'll be closing a bond sale, hopefully, for an additional 100 million. So it's going to be about 285 million that we'll do in construction. And our first construction bid package for Glenn County is out on the street right now and will close in January. And an open access system is basically, think of it like an airport where the public agency builds the airport and then allows private airlines to use it. We will do the same. We will bring last mile fiber to the home in areas in those counties. And then you as a homeowner can choose which private ISP you want best fits you for actually delivering services. And you'll probably have half a dozen different options on the network to make those choices, or a business would as well. We view this as sort of the foundation. The goal is to get this, demonstrate success, and then start to build out a concentric circle so that hopefully we are ultimately able to serve Lassen or Susan some of the areas. And we'll be looking for additional funding as time comes along. This is supported from that initial state money that was put into it. But in the future, we may have system revenues that will be available, or there may be additional grants that become available as well. So like I said, right now our focus is to demonstrate success with those 7 projects, and then from there, hopefully begin to build out over time.
So how come Lassen wasn't considered?
We did submit an application, but it was awarded to, I think, was it Plymouth Sierra? I think it might have been, it was awarded to serve a portion of Lassen County, if I recall correctly. I'd have to go back and look, but basically someone else was awarded funding. The allocation for Lassen County went to a different application. Next slide. Golden State Natural Resources, this is what we've talked about quite a bit in Lassen County. And of course, we own a site in New Beaver. And last fall, at this very time, we had released a draft environmental impact report for a project that would have taken material to 2 sites, one in Lassen County and one in Tuolumne County, from Forest Resilience Project, like the pile there pictured from Modoc County, and then converted it at those 2 sites to industrial pellets, shipped it by rail to the Port of Stockton, and ultimately overseas. And we went through a draft environmental impact report process that concluded in January and got about 50,000 comments. But of those, I would say less than 100 were truly substantive. So we began then evaluating those comments, but at the same time, we looked at our business assumptions and tested those to make sure that they were still valid. And then in June, up in Modoc County, our Golden State Natural Resources Board convened and considered that. And from that information, a couple of things became clear. One is that there was a lot of interest in the comments in us looking at the domestic market as opposed to shipping the material overseas. Interestingly, the Trump administration and the state of California both echoed that. They both wanted us to look at the domestic market as well as opposed to shipping overseas. So that was a comment that was pervasive throughout the review process. Secondly, in the time we've been developing this project, while demand for pellets remains strong and continues to grow, supply had increased significantly, and in particular from Vietnam. And that had the effect of bringing prices down to where the project, at least at that point in time, looked like it was going to be in the red. So you had sort of competing things. One, comments including from federal and state agencies saying we'd like to look at the domestic market, and then our business model showing some challenges with the increase in supply. And so the board approved a pivot to focusing on the domestic market in the form of wood chips as opposed to pellets, with the recognition that that market doesn't exist today. There is not somebody in California ready to take 1 million metric tons of wood chips today. So we've been working with Lawrence Livermore Labs and a few other private partners that range from, we'll say, the very speculative and probably not likely to succeed to the very well-financed international companies who have a very real interest in bringing something to California, and looking at what are the likely uses for wood chips. And they range from alternative fuels like sustainable aviation fuel and other alternative fuels to electricity production, but not what we're accustomed to with the traditional use of biomass for electricity. More along a model where you would see a power plant that uses wood chips sited along with a data center behind the meter so that they can charge a higher price than what they would traditionally be able to charge, and then having a carbon capture piece associated with it so that they can get funded for the carbon capture and the tax credits associated with it. And when you add those additional revenues to the project for those entities, it looks like they can pay the transportation costs then to bring the material out of the forest to one of the 2 sites or transport it by rail. Now, none of that's going to happen overnight. Even that very well-financed company would tell you if they were here that it's probably 7 to 10 years before they have something up and running in California. So our goal right now is to do a revised draft environmental impact report, which we hope to have out here in a couple of months, that will look at updating the draft DIR to bring the material to the 2 sites, aggregate it there, and Lassen actually do chipping on site and aggregation. Tuolumne just do aggregation of wood chips and then shipping it out by rail, and we'll identify an array of potential uses and locations that it could go to. Get that work done so that we can get the sites permitted, we can get the secret documents certified, and then we're working with the Forest Service to put in place a long-term agreement for biomass supply. And why this all is important is that when we talk to those private investors looking to come to California, one of their big concerns is not CEQA, surprisingly, but their ability to have long-term certainty around biomass. As they call it, the term is bankable biomass. They need to know when they go to a bank that they've got a 20-year supply of biomass and the way to get it there. So we want to de-risk that for them by having in place a long-term agreement with the Forest Service, and the Forest Service has responded enthusiastically, having the sites permitted and having in place all the logistics to be able to provide that so that we de-risk that piece for it. So that's what the pivot is. It's fitting a lot of information in a short time, but I wanted to provide that given that we do have a site in Lassen County. Look for the revised draft PIR to come out early to mid 2026, and then we'll be at some point back before you with actually the entitlement permits, and your staff's been wonderful to work with throughout the process. They meet with us every couple of weeks to trade information, share information so that we can keep both the permitting and entitlement processes running concurrently with the environmental review. So I do want to thank your team for that.
How many years are you into the stewardship agreement?
The original one was 20, we must be at least 5 years into it now, I'm guessing, plus. What we're likely to have is a new agreement that is much more specific. It spells out specific tonnages of biomass so that will demonstrate that certainty that the investors are looking for. And as I said, the Forest Service is enthusiastic about it and helping us trying to find a creative way to do that, because it's not a traditional agreement that they've done in the past, but there does seem to be a willingness to do it. And so what we're trying to do is an agreement that's sized the two facilities in terms of biomass tonnages. And then it would probably set up a process where we would be meeting annually to determine which forests would be providing the material in any given year. So it would say that, let's say that the Lassen facility and the forest surrounding it will provide 800,000 metric tons per year. Then we would meet with them annually to figure out, well, which exact forests? Does it come from the Modocs? Does it come from the Lassen? The next year, where's it coming from, et cetera. So it'll be a much more specific document than the one that we have right now that we operate under. Some good news though on that, we did just get the Modoc supplemental project agreement for 30,000 acres signed, record of decision in the last couple of weeks. So long time coming, a lot of lessons learned. But again, in demonstrating success in getting to that phase, the Forest Service, I think, is more willing to partner now with the next steps.
How's this going, the reorganization of the Forest Service? How's that going to impact you on this? Yeah.
Well, initially, because of the loss in staffing, I think it slowed things down a bit. But now the dust is starting to settle, and I wouldn't often use the word enthusiasm with the Forest Service, but here that is what we're feeling, is that they are very enthusiastic about trying to find a creative solution. They recognize that piles like that are not serving anyone. That when Tuolumne County has 50,000 plus piles in their forests, not all of that same size, but they're just either decomposing in place or open pile burning. Well, that's not sustainable. And we know that the state's goal for treatment is 1 million acres a year. We've never reached it. And even getting 3/4 of the way there, it took sizable state and federal subsidies that are now declining. If Secretary Crowfoot were here, he would acknowledge we need to find value for that pile so that value can be reinvested in getting more of that work done. And that's exactly what we're trying to do. So I think the Forest Service equally recognizes that and is responding enthusiastically to trying to figure out a solution. Just two more, I'm done, I promise. One is Environmental Services Joint Power Authority. It's our joint powers agency that Lassen is part of. It helps with waste management compliance. Basically, again, it's all 40 counties getting together to approach Cal Recycle as one, and also to receive technical assistance that we can do more inexpensively by doing it together. And then the next slide, I did want to end here. The Rural Advancement Institute, of which Supervisor Alba is the chair of RAI and has helped bring it back to life. It sat dormant for many years, but our board said we needed to bring it back to life to do two things. One is to educate our urban colleagues in the legislature and their staff about rural county issues. And so we've done 2 tours with them. One was in Mariposa County, and then more recently, the second one was in Monterey County. And Supervisor Alba joined us in Monterey County, if I'm recalling correctly. And we had, I think, pretty good attendance from particularly chiefs of staff, as well as some cabinet secretaries and others part of that. The value is not necessarily where you are or even what you're seeing, but is to have one-on-one time to talk about rural county issues directly with them. And so that has gone, I think, well, and we are planning our next one presently. And then we've worked to, the second piece that the board established for it is to do research. And so we've done 3 studies. The first was, are rural counties getting their fair share of housing dollars, state housing dollars? Short answer is some were, but many were not. And so that report documented that, and then we took it and developed sort of what are some actionable strategies that could come from it. The second one was we partnered with CMSP and UC San Francisco to look at the healthcare workforce in rural counties, basically where are the shortages, what do they look like, and to do that at a granular level. So we had good data around that. But the most recent one, I think, is one that's going to have a lot of interest, and that is fire and EMS capacity in rural counties. We work with UC Santa Barbara's Wildfire Resilience Initiative to begin to document that. If you were to read that report, it's available on the RA website. I suspect you would read it and say, well, there's nothing new in here. We already knew this. But I can tell you the legislature doesn't know it. And the legislature is very unfamiliar with the fact that our small fire districts in particular are seeing decreasing volunteerism and increasing call volume. And that's leading to a perfect storm because they don't have the funding to provide paid staffing to supplement that. And so that situation is happening throughout the state of California. In fact, you can be driving on a road within 10 minutes of the Capitol. And if you were to make a 911 call, that it's a district with 3 volunteers, and if they don't respond, you may be waiting half an hour plus before they get to a mutual aid response to get someone out. And that's 10 minutes from the Capitol. Legislature is unfamiliar. So the point of these reports is to begin to build awareness. And why we work with UC, for example, is that when we can provide a UC Santa Barbara report across the street, it immediately brings a stature to it and a recognition that hopefully will help raise awareness. The professor's going to have come speak at our December board meeting as part of a breakfast session. And one of my hopes is that that will lead to a phase 2. What do we do? Because that's what you're grappling with is we know the problem, but what do we do? And I'm hopeful that we can then kind of get into some of what do we do strategy so that then we can start to inform the legislature on that piece, because there's going to be a revenue challenge, right? You're not going to be able to afford pay staffing with the revenue that we have presently. And if we don't find a solution, then we're going to have more and more of these districts where they're unable to respond to calls. So that's the point of that report. And that's part of what RA does, is to bring awareness, both meeting one-on-one with urban legislators and their staff through tours, and then secondly, highlighting and spotlighting issues by partnering with research institutions to bring that to light. And with that, I think I'm through the presentation. It took a lot of time, but I appreciated the questions. And if you've got more or feedback, I'm happy to take them. But also afterwards, if you think of any, don't hesitate to reach out.
I just want to compliment the entire organization on how hard you work for awareness in Sacramento for all of us. It's I had no idea till I got involved, and it's truly appreciated.
Well, I appreciate the kind words. I try to take that back to the team. I'm lucky I get to hear it directly, and that they're not here. So I always, sometimes we'll capture a video segment or something, but take it back so they can hear it directly. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, I told you guys he's way more articulate than I am.
I've just done it a few times.
But that's a good job. So Pat, just a little bit about RCRC. If you can talk about the number of counties RC represents versus the number of counties in the state, and also the percent of population and percent of land mass that RCRC represents versus the state. I mean, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, so RCRC is 40 to 58 counties, and we are a nonprofit mutual benefit corporation comprised of those counties. We are registered as a public agency. So think of us as a archetypical quasi-public agency working on behalf of rural counties. But to your point, if you were to look at a map of the legislature and where they come from, we're the inverse of that. And so the majority of the population is in those other counties, the Bay Area, LA, and San Diego, and the legislature reflects that. And so RCRC is the inverse of that, representing a small portion of the population. I don't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head, maybe I don't in front of you, but it's stark. When you see the map of the legislature and you see RCRC, you realize the challenge that we have before us. But I started my career as a county administrator for Amador County. I remember comparing to Lassen County, and at that time, San Benito County was much smaller, similar sized counties, and the challenges we had. And RCRC was so helpful to me back then. And so I've always had appreciation for RCRC. And when the chance came to be here to do that work on behalf of rural counties, I feel very fortunate to be here. That's really what drives us, I think, is recognizing that we're the underdog, but it's a good fight to have.
You know, another thing is, most of the counties, even RCRC member counties, they have their own lobbyists in Sacramento. Some of them have their own federal lobbyists back in DC. We don't have that. We're so small. So this is where RCRC and CSAC come in. I mean, they're our lobbyists for us. And they do such a phenomenal, remarkable job. It's amazing. This is the best money that Lassen County could ever spend is being part of RCRC organization. It's just hands down. We get more bang for our buck than any other organization that even can think about helping us. So,
And think of us as an extension of your own staff. If you've got a question, don't hesitate to reach out and I'll make sure we get the right person to answer your question.
yeah, just a plethora of knowledge. And it's just amazing.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Good seeing you. Thanks for coming up.
You bet. Thank you.
Okay, we are going to go to, recognition awards for November.
Swapping these out.
Sure. Yeah.
Thanks, Pat.
Switch these two. So you have Gina present.
Okay. You gotta do a motion for it.
Oh,
Recognize. Wouldn't we?
Yeah, he went up.
It's not a proclamation.
What's that?
It's not a proclamation, Tom. There's
Oh.
no motion. It's just recognition.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. My side by side riding the apartment. Oh, I forgot. In recognition, in appreciation for 10 years of employment with, County of Lassen, we, the Lassen County Board of Supervisors, would like to take this opportunity to present you with a certificate of recognition and thank you for your time and effort and commitment and all your hard work. Thank you so much. Okay,
Before we let you run away, okay, we have a gift from HSS to you. Danielle picked them out, so they're naturally better than anything I could pick out, and they smell good. What I will say though is Gina's one of our amazing staff for HSS. She works for Public Guardian as a deputy public guardian, public conservator. You guys don't know what that is. It's a very quiet job that's done on the side, but very important and a lot of hard work. And so this department is a department of 2 people. I'm grateful for both of them, but let me just say, Gina brings a very good smiling face. She's always willing to take on duties, whether it's crawling through a house or doing court reports. I've seen her do it all. So, man, I again would not be able to do it without these guys, and Gina's just a great addition to our team. So thank you for all you do. Anybody else?
okay, well, I want to say that, Gina and I, we were up at, Spalding and, her and her husband and my wife. And so, we got to spend some time on our side by sides up there and having a, good time and her and her husband are just great and awesome people. I just, and I appreciate all the hard work you've done for the county because I know how hard each and every one of the county employees work to help us out. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, we are going to move to H1. What? We got some other, but, I have a request to move to H1.
Sorry.
I know, but, and thank you, because it probably would have got lost because of that last, I skipped over one. And good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, member of the boards. I'm Michael Laughlin, Detective Sergeant with the Lassen County Sheriff's Office. Here to talk to you guys about the resolution that's before you today, and that's the ABC OTC grant. The grant is in the amount of $30,000. That's supplemental money to the Sheriff's Office to provide for alcohol law enforcement. The grant itself is paid for from the National Traffic Highway Safety Administration, SMITSA. The grant cycles on the federal cycle running October 1st through September 30th. This grant has no fiscal impact on the county itself. And again, it pays for our office to go out and enforce alcohol laws, that being minor decoy operations in coordination with ABC, also shoulder tap operations, DUI and drunken public. So those would be some of the laws that we would be enforcing from this grant. It helps us to pay for the overtime to do or conduct these types of operations. And what we're asking for today is that yes vote for the resolution. Any questions?
Mr. Obal?
Yes, sir.
On your decoys, are they local or do you bring people in from the outside? I mean, who vets them to be your decoys or whatever?
Yeah, so what we're doing right now is working with the college in their administrative justice program and getting decoys from there. In the past, we've had deputies or correctional deputies in our jail that were under the age of 21, so we've used them before in similar operations. And then also children of some of our employees at the sheriff's office. So that's what we've done in the past. This year, we did reach out to the AJ classes to see if we have any willing applicants from there.
Okay.
And it's good for them in terms of being able to put that down on their resume moving forward.
If they do to go in and they are successful, do they get to keep the product that they buy?
So we confiscate it or seize it as evidence in our case.
Okay.
But it is an issue that we are having that we've noticed in the last several months. Vendors or retailers in the community selling not just alcohol but tobacco products to minors. So on these operations, we'll pick days of the year. So they're specific to holidays, and then also probably around the fair time is when we would plan on doing this to get the most bang for the buck.
Fair enough.
Anybody else?
I just think it's a great program.
I do too. Yeah.
Is it,
Let's be honest.
is there anybody from the public? Okay, I need
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the resolution and approve financial aid agreement to the Department of Alcohol Beverage Control for the program. Participation in 2025-2026 fiscal year and authorize the sheriff to execute the agreement.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Supervisor Scanlon, second by Supervisor Bridges. There's some comment.
There is. John McGarvey, Sheriff Corner. First, great job by Sergeant Laughlin getting this up in front of you guys today. He put a lot of work into it. He supervises the program. So this is a good opportunity for him to get on the side. And we did notice one typo in the resolution. It should be OTS, not OTC in the resolution. So we'll have to make that fixed before it comes out.
To the OT, yeah.
OTS.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you know what page that's on? Is it on the signature page?
On the first page
First
of the
page.
resolution.
Okay, and it says ABC-OTC and it should be OT.
Yes. Other than that,
You want to amend your, with that?
As amended.
but no. Chance does a great job. Sergeant Laughlin does a great job executing this program. We were very successful in an operation we did this fall or late summer. So we're looking forward to similar results.
So
Thank you.
Supervisor Bridges. Yeah.
As amended. A second.
Was there any other corrections? Supervisor Obal? Hey, I just wanted to say, thank you and, for all your hard work and people can be, proud of this young man because he's homegrown. And I really appreciate that. So thank you.
Appreciate it.
So with that, I need a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Chance, if you ever are part of for decoy, I'm always available.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, guys.
Okay, we are going to move on to development.
Definition.
You have one?
I guess so.
We're moving to F. And then we'll amend you. Okay, we're gonna move to, F. F1. Is there any comments?
I just have a question for Andrew. If none of the appointments are changing, can we just approve them all at one time, or do we gotta go through each one separately?
For transparency, I'd recommend go through separately, but that'd be my recommendation. Really, it's a pleasure of the chair.
For the record, I'd like to stay as city member for RCRC, the State Finance Authority, Gold State Connect, and ESGPA.
The all that goes hand.
Yeah.
I'd like
Is there anybody else that would like to be on that committee?
I'd like to be the second.
All right. I would like to see it in the future that, I mean, seeing today, there's nobody else that wants to be on there, but I would like to see our committees, every couple of years, switch up so that we, get, you know, I mean, you did a great job, but, you know, just to let other people, be able to see what's going on and those committees, you know, sometimes, you can get a refreshed look on those committees. So I would just like to see every couple of years, people change up the people that are on there, just so that, we just get representation from all of Lassen County too, so,
It's a good idea.
but
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
I agree with you, but I also disagree with you.
surprising.
No, because I know I've watched Aaron and I know how many relationships he's built with RCRC, and those come over a long period of time. And just like he's a chair on a couple different committees and stuff, that takes a long time to learn that and get in there. I can speak from experience. I mean, it's not to go down there, you're kind of like a fish out of water at first. And it takes a year or two before you really even understand what your role is, how you can help your county and what you're doing. So it's a double-sided sword. And I feel very strong about that. About the amount of time that it takes to learn how your role can help Lassen County or the county that you're representing. So anyway, I wanted to mention that.
And I have to, I mean, I'm like, Gary, I mean, I agree with you, but I disagree with you too. 'Cause I mean, with RCRC and probably the CSAC too, those are big state organizations, and the relationships you build with the other supervisors that are on there and with the staff is very crucial. And if you just rotate it up every couple of years, you're never going to get to know the staff. The staff's never going to get to know the county and the issues that are at the county. But if you have the same repetition over, I mean, it took me a couple of years to figure out, like Gary said, how the organization works and who you need to talk to for what issue and to get a level of comfort, not only with you, with them, but them with you. And to build those relationships. And it's, and I think I'm being very effective down at RCRC now. I mean, I wasn't for the first couple of years because I didn't know what that guy was doing. And Brian Daly did it for all the time before. So you had that, I don't know what you want to call it, a legacy, I guess, to kind of fill in. And it makes a huge difference. It really does. But some of the more local communities or local committees or the smaller ones, yeah, I think that is probably the stuff. But for RCRC and CSAC, I think you need to have that consistency level to be more effective, especially when we don't have the state lobbyists and the federal lobbyists. I mean, we got to have that. I think it's crucial. That's my 2 cents worth in my experience. Because I've seen some of the other counties that come and go, and they're not very effective. If you want to get into leadership, I mean, you're looking at a 4-year stint. To start off as a second vice chair, and then a first vice chair, and then chair, and then after, as a past chair, it's a 4-year term.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just think that, we could,
in the meetings,
that there would be some, you have some of your interest and the other board members have some different interests. And I just feel that switching up would give those other interests a little bit of daylight.
And they always have, all the meetings are always open. They have the annual meeting, like the one at the county with the chair, and I mean, they're all open. So, I don't know, whatever.
All right. So with that, I will appoint Supervisor Albaugh as a regular and Supervisor Bridges as alternative on the RCRC, Golden State Finance, Golden State Connect Authority.
And I would stop there and do the ESJPA a little bit separate ARP for public.
Okay, and then, so for the Golden State,
No, it's before.
It needs to be by a motion, yes.
So, Mr. Chairman, it should probably be by motion that these.
in
To approve
the,
appointments.
in our bylaws, it states that the chairman can appoint
Okay.
under section 3 offices. Section 5.
It does say that.
Okay, very good. Sorry for interrupting.
No, you're fine.
That's appointments 1 through 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
For,
And so for the CSAC,
got it. On number 4, if you go to number 4 for, under RCRC is a ESGPA, which is, that's basically the solid waste. And so for that, even though I sit on this regular and Gary's the alternate, I've also asked for Pete Heimiger to be on there as the second alternate landlord, his representative, because that has to do with the solid waste. And whatnot. So, and Pete's aware of this, he said on it before, it's just good to have that perspective and that appointment. So I would recommend you put Pete back on there as
So how, are, would we be able to be served as Pete as the regular and you and Gary as the, first and second? Since, I mean, he deals with everything. Would that, represent the county better or what?
well, just so that Pete has, it doesn't matter. I mean, just, they work with, Pete works with them and they work with them either, but for whatever reason, if I can't be there and Pete wants to go to the meetings, well, then he can have a vote. So it's basically a voting member.
But the stuff that gets voted on, would Pete be more familiar with the questions at hand or?
Some
would
of it,
you?
yes, but Pete doesn't always go to those meetings. But for whatever reason, if I'm not there or Pete's there, I mean, I've had that people, you know, I'll ask some question.
Sure.
On these different appointments, and like this last one we're looking at before, are the RCRC utility in general, and all these things, all these guys meet as segments of those meetings?
The the ESGAPA meeting is usually held the day after the RCRC meeting.
I was just gonna say, if you're,
The
there
RCRC
meetings,
is
may as well
on
do one.
Wednesday, and then you can stay over and go to the meeting on Thursday.
Gotcha. That's what I was kind of pointing out is.
Yeah.
It's a separate day, but. And they're every quarter, I think, is when they have their meetings, is once a quarter. And they're always in Sacramento. But anyway, Pete's here, now he can give you his 2 cents if you want to.
Okay, Pete, you're up.
As the appointments stand, I would prefer that they stay that way. Extremely short-staffed and stressed thin, and honestly, I wouldn't have the time to follow up when I can. They record that stuff, but actually making the time for those appointments would be difficult with what I've got on my plate right now.
Okay. So on number 4, the rural county representatives, for the environmental joint services, gonna appoint, Aaron regular, Gary, the first alternative, and Pete, the second alternative.
Alternate, yeah.
Alternate. Yeah. Maybe. Okay. Okay, so now we'll move on
So you did,
to,
by appointments, we don't need a motion. Perfect.
G2. California State Association of Counties, CSAC appointments. Right now, we have, current appointments, Bridges and
I'd like to stay there. Matter of fact, I've made arrangements to go to the next CSAC meeting first part of December. And I've been asked to be on a couple of the different boards from Graham. So I think I'm doing a good job. I've got a lot of relationships built. It's taken several years to do that. And I feel I have a good footing and good rapport with the rest of the supervisors that are there.
Does anybody else? Anybody want to be the alternate?
He really said he wanted to be.
Well,
I'm sure. I think I heard him.
And for that reason, we're gonna have a vote. So,
So you want a motion on this one?
yeah,
I move for
Because I don't
the
wanna-
California State Association of
Appoint
Counties
myself.
appointments, we, appoint Gary Bridges as the regular and Tom Neely as the alternate.
I'll second that.
okay, motion made by Supervisor Albaugh, seconded by Supervisor Scanlon. Is there anybody from the public? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? No. Okay, we are going to move on to G. Is there anybody want to pull anything?
If nobody would like to pull anything, I motion to accept the consent.
Good?
I'll second that. That Mike second.
Okay. Motion made by Supervisor Ingram, second by Supervisor Scanlon. Is there anybody from the public that want to comment on this? Okay, seeing none. Will, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Okay, we're gonna move on to H2.
Good morning again. Bill Pyre, Fair Manager. I'm bringing before you this resolution to allow Fair Manager to negotiate entertainment contracts for the 26th fair. It does fall within the 26-27 fiscal year, but they're contracts that we need to negotiate now. Very similar to the resolution passed last year. And just asking for you to adopt the resolution. Do you have any questions?
Go ahead.
So we've given you this authority to sign the contract. You're still gonna, the contracts are still gonna go to county council to make sure that they're signed up.
Absolutely.
And is it still gonna come back to the board for ratification of the amount you spent, or is it just gonna be all on you?
We have a maximum built into the resolution.
Okay.
So I'm asking for either adoption or direction as far as what your pleasure is in regards to that.
So if you wanna hire an entertainer for $100,000, you can just do it and after he checks
That's
the contract.
You're giving him permission to what is typical for
Above the 50 grand, he reports to the CAO only and not us anymore. So it would be giving him full authority to.
The way it was handled last year, the CAO was to sign the contract. So there would be a second set of eyes on that. But
Is that gonna be that with this resolution too? It'll be a second set of eyes.
if that's your direction, then absolutely.
I think it would be good to cover a year.
I'm good with that.
Can we do that?
Okay, but I'm a rock and roller.
You don't know what you signed that time anyway.
That's fine, we can amend it. Motion.
As long as you don't have an auto pen.
But I think it's just good protection. It really is.
I appreciate that.
That a motion with the.
Well, not yet.
We're in discussion. Anybody else?
That was the only question I had.
I just think it's better with the second set of eyes as well. So in that way. You report to the CAO now, you don't
Correct.
report to the board. So anytime it was 50 grand, anything over 50 grand needed.
As a department.
So. Yeah, this is a big leap from 50 grand.
Right.
Second set of eyes, I think is a good idea.
Yeah, the county administrator's authorization is $50,000 for $50,001 requires the board vote. Yes.
I'm assuming as I read this information that it's because in the negotiation process, trying to negotiate with a vendor or entertainer to do the thing. You know, hang on a minute, I gotta wait a week,
4
a
weeks,
month, whatever. Come back to us for more, some more would be faster, but, and then get permission, then go back.
entertainer
could be going. There's that delay in process. And I think that putting a limit of 135 grand, because that's short of the max they do anyway for 210, but it's
Right.
also gives them the ability to act quickly to secure the entertainer versus any potential delay. And so I see the need for check and balance, but is this the check and balance for saying we trust the guy, let him do it, or not?
No, and you're right. You're absolutely right, because when you go into negotiations with them, you may come to some sort of agreement, but while he's waiting for the county's fertile approval, those guys are shopping around and they may get a better deal. And sometimes you luck out and you get a top-notch entertainer for a reasonable amount. And but then if you have to go through, and that's critical for Andrew to make sure that he is getting those contracts back to Bill ASAP. So that we get that better deal, and there's no lag time there, because those guys are in the business and making money too. And if we stumble across the good deal, we need to take full advantage of that to help Bill out so that he can make money. And that's what we want.
That's the reason I'm coming to you now rather than waiting until the spring and just trying to be proactive, get everything in place for the coming event.
You've been doing that all the time in your office, and I appreciate that. You're very proactive.
I think the purpose behind it is honorable in the sense of,
Yes.
and we trust Bill, we just gave him a positive review and all that stuff. It really depends on I hate to say it so, but the character of the fair manager, whoever that happens to be. And I think that in this instance, it'd be nice, all the checks and balances are great, but it does slow the process down. And so I think he's looking to expedite the process and secure things. And so I think that's a good idea.
Well, I don't mind being involved because if he sinks the boat, he sinks me. So I'm happy to be engaged. And I pledge my speedy response to him in any situation.
Well, and you're right there at a telephone call, right? The five of us aren't quite as responsive.
Well, at any rate, it still has to go to Andrew for approval on any contract anyhow.
Yeah.
So one extra second to get Maury's approval, then you got another stamp. I mean, I don't see that slowing down the process.
Right.
I see Andrew being the choking point.
No offense.
No offense. But I mean, if the contract has to come to you and you have to approve it and kick it back.
Sure. Well, and
it's already got to be ran by the CAOs.
yes, well, it has to be run by county council and it has to be run by the CAO, and I will endeavor to make sure that contracts are turned around. And so far, my tenure here, I believe I've been very, very prompt on my contract turnaround.
Yes, yeah.
Andrew, that has been past practice, that we've ran into that problem. And
Yes,
so
we have.
that's why it was, that's why I was expressing my frustration with that office. Because I don't know if Bill still does, but the Bears and Exposition, in previous years, the manager would have them look at it, and they do it not only for us, they do it for everybody in the state. So they're not reinventing the wheel, with us. And I don't know how your experience is with the entertainment industry, but they like to throw out a lot of stuff, and that Bear and Exposition attorneys, know where to throw that out. Sam, you're anxious.
Well, I just wanted to bring up a couple things because I obviously brought this resolution last year. I would just like to point out that the reason that we're doing this largely again is because confidentiality is written throughout those contracts, so we cannot bring them to board approval and put them on public at a public meeting without express written permission from those artists who are not going to give that to us prior to us entering into contract, which is what creates this gray area, which was the need for the resolution last year. Also, when I sent this template, I did not change it from last year, but you guys did give express authority for signature to the CAO to make sure that checks and balances there. We can add that as number 4 if you guys would like when we go back to do this. So if you guys choose to do so when taking action on that, please add that amendment. We'll make sure we add it in. And then you guys can have that second set if you'd like it. It already talks about county council for legal sufficiency, so that's covered. And the other thing I wanted to say too is that the reason that we need to move this along is not even just for a good deal, but for routing. So when everybody's routing, they have multiple dates that they're trying to hit. And if you don't catch on early while they're routing to plan, you're going to miss that. So those were just the 3 points I wanted to bring up. Bill did great. Congratulations, Bill. You're doing phenomenal. That's it.
Thank you. Good to be fair.
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, last year we did run into that. We had several entertainers in negotiation, committed, then backed out. And it's really hard to promote early on if we don't have somebody locked in. So again, that's the reason for the being proactive on it.
Yeah. And my apologies to Andrew. I just bring up legal counsel being the choking point. We went to rent Jensen Hall and it was held up for 3 weeks. And it's a $500 rent. There's just no excuse for that. So,
well, we're working on that.
Fixing that too.
yeah. And Wes spoke with the CAO and there should be a simple something together. And I'm sure you guys are working.
Yeah.
But for example, I just want to apologize.
Aaron?
Yeah, the other good checks and balances we have in here, it's only good for this next year.
Oh, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
so it'll be an annual thing, going back to your thing with the character and whatnot. So I think this isn't gonna be going on in perpetuity. So we have a change and we kick on ourselves. So this is good. It's limited just to the entertainment.
To the entertainment and to the 2026 fair.
Yes.
Yes.
So that's good. So now it's gonna be up to you to remember to get this back on for next year about this time, so you do that.
I'll get Michelle the request tomorrow.
She can do that. She got her computer fixed.
Okay, any other discussion? Anybody from the public want to comment on this? Okay, seeing none, we're gonna bring it back up here with the CAO amendment. Is that right? The signing
Second signature.
second signature?
Yeah.
Okay, so do I have a motion with
We
that?
have to adopt the resolution that allows the fair manager to negotiate enter into entertainment contracts above the authorized contracting limit for department heads and county administrative officer. To also have the second signature by the CAO. Through contract payments will be made in the 26-27 fiscal year. Contracts must be executed during the 25-26 fiscal year. The total authorized amount of this resolution is $135,000, below the approved budget line item for the fair entertainment in the 25-26 fiscal year budget. Second, I move we adopt this resolution. Second.
Okay, motion made by Supervisor Abal.
I did.
Supervisor Bridges. Second it. And so do we need a roll call vote
Not
for
for
the resolution? Okay, all of those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. H3.
Good morning,
Okay,
Mr.
we're
Chairman.
gonna move to H3. Thank you.
H3 is here. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and honorable members of the board. My name is Natalie Ruger. I'm the Director of Public Health. And today I am bringing forth a grant agreement with the California Department of Public Health for the Sexually Transmitted Disease Control Branch. They are awarding Lassen County a grant for disease intervention specialist workforce development grant. So this is going to be a grant agreement through the fiscal years of 2025 through 2030. Throughout 5 years, we'll be awarded about $462,735. This grant will ensure that we can maintain our clinic operations, for STD testing, TB testing, other types of tests, and ensuring that our nurses have the funding to perform these operations. It also allows us to monitor infectious diseases and emerging trends as they come. But it ensures sustainability with our nursing clinic to perform these critical operations in our community.
That concludes your staff report. Do you have any
Okay.
questions?
Well, we're scrolling through the
Just got
computer.
pulled up. Jeez.
Jason, do you have any? What, Gary?
No, you know, that's a lot of money, but it's really quite a service, so money well spent, in my opinion.
Yes.
Supervisor Arbola?
You know, it's really kind of interesting reading through this on the different percentages of what categories of people this is affected by, et cetera. I mean, I found that very interesting. So how are you going to go about implementing this money and using it to be effective?
So we've been receiving this grant for many years. Right now, one of our nurses specializes in infectious disease management. So we have data sharing agreements with the California Department of Public Health for ensuring that we are communicating and monitoring trends of infectious diseases, identifying outbreaks in our community so we can target specific outreaches. We also have our nursing staff that performs outreaches to the outlying communities, as well as our local homeless encampments. So part of the targeted, approach to that is providing education into the types of diseases, treatments available, and testing available, as well as referrals to providers to receive those treatments.
Does the provider contact you if they have a incident of a disease? Do they contact you and then you follow up and try to track it down to minimize it?
So the medical facilities and the other entities in our communities, we are in communication if there are specific outbreaks. Therefore, we can work together to monitor what is happening in our community and ensure that we can prevent further spread.
And so what's the definition of an outbreak?
I believe it depends on the location, but 3 or more, for example, if something were to happen in a nursing home, they would contact the public health department to identify if there were several cases of, say COVID-19 within their facility.
Okay. I was just curious on how you can put all this together. It's good information, but how do you go about stopping it or doing it or?
Testing and prevention is one of the main ways to ensure that we can have contact tracing and reducing the spread of, diseases. First, we need to find where the source is coming from and provide treatment or in order to stop them.
You did find somebody that doesn't want treatment.
That is their right to refuse treatment.
So they're just a carrier and spreader.
We can sick the district portion.
But we can, of course, provide education of the benefits of receiving treatment and reducing the spread in the community.
Okay.
Is that it?
That was my question.
I have a question. Does this pertain like to public schools, and if there's an outbreak like the high school or McKinley, how's that handled?
No, I'm not too sure. I don't have an answer for you on that one. However, if people come into the public health for treatment and prevention, we provide these confidential services, and this funding helps ensure that we are able to provide that to reduce the spreads in our communities. But I don't have an answer for the schools participation.
Okay.
This is based on people coming to you and saying, hey, I got this problem. And that's how you deal with it, or you get information like from someone's in the ER and they do a blood test, you know, they got symptoms of something else and go, oh, by the way, are you getting that information or how's that?
I believe that those would go to like their primary care provider. I don't have an answer for that specifically, but if people do come to us, then we can refer to other providers for treatments.
So it's basically people come to you first, not being
And-
reported by doctors and stuff.
Yeah, and education, and we also participate in a regional regional meetings on epidemiology, so we can see trends that are happening across the northern part of the state. So part of this grant would ensure we can identify these trends to provide greater outreach, education, and try to ensure that we have education on testing and the benefits of it.
Do you have any kind of ballpark numbers on the number of people that you're dealing with rapid infectious disease? How many people you treat, or
At this time, I do not.
I mean, like how many people are going to take advantage of this money?
So this is for the workforce development primarily. So that's ensuring that we can staff the nurses and the supervisors that are performing the work itself. Some of the money will go towards, the testing kits and the testing kits and any of the supplies to maintain those operations. But I believe most of the money is going towards the FTE of the nurses.
They have other duties besides this?
Yes.
Okay.
Anybody?
Comment.
It was interesting looking at the cities and the counties that get this money, and it's really rather impressive because usually, Lassen, we're way down in numbers and whatnot, but we're actually pretty high up there. It's almost comparative. It's kind of nice to see us get our fair percentage and maybe a little bit more in relation to some of the other.
Yeah, so I got more infectious disease.
Oh, more money.
More money. Take care of the problem.
It's disease prevention.
Maybe it's because we have more disease, but I don't.
Okay, is there anybody from the public want to comment on this? Okay, seeing none, I'm bringing it back up here for oh my.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
To approve the grant agreement 25-10599 with the California Department of Public Health, CDPH, and authorize the county administrative officer to execute the grant.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Supervisor Bridges, second by Supervisor Ingram. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Jim, can we take a 5-minute break?
Oh my goodness, you're killing me. I'm hungry. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hey,
I've always
We'll
just.
probably be done by
we're
2.
ready.
Live.
Okay, Jen, you're up.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Madam Clerk. Today, our first item is a contract with Shasta County for detention of juveniles, which we definitely have used several times in the past. We have contracts with 4 different counties because sometimes it takes a little while to be able to find a detention facility that's willing to take a youth. So these are our standard contracts. Nothing has gone up in this one. Today I would look for a motion to approve that contract with Shasta County.
Question?
No, just for clarification, even though you have a not to exceed 250,000, you're probably not even using that, if you gotta put it as a placeholder. You know.
We do, because there are going to be times that we'll get somewhat close to that, especially if we get a commitment, which we did this year, which is the first year that we have. Since we closed our detention facility. So we have a 6-month commitment to Butte County, which will take us to about $80,000. So we just have that there at 250,000 because that's kind of like what our goal is. So we always look at, are we getting close to that? Are we not getting close to that? We measure that throughout the years. This is the first year that we'll get somewhat close.
You do this with more than just Shasta County, correct?
Yes, we have Tehama, we have Butte, we have Shasta, and we have El Dorado, and we have Sonoma.
And does it matter what level or what crime the juvenile had, or do you just take it to the whichever's closest?
It does matter. What you have to look at currently is with the Division of Juvenile Justice realignment, those youth and adults that were in state prison have been realigned back to the counties. And so some counties have a different level of youth that are currently detained in their facility, so that you don't want to mix an unsophisticated youth with them to increase their criminal behavior. So it really depends upon what type of youth that's in those facilities. It also depends upon what type of crimes or what type of youth other counties will accept and will not accept.
So you and that county will kind of get together, see if it's a good fit.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes. Any other questions?
That's it.
Nope.
That's it. Did it.
She's hungry. She wants to get.
I know, but that was good that I'm glad you do that so that maybe somebody from this area doesn't get to go down and experience somebody that's farther along in the system and they get well educated and become more of a criminal.
A bigger problem.
It does, and I will tell you, the juvenile laws over the past 5 years have changed dramatically. And I can tell you one of the most difficult things to do is to actually take a youth who's been arrested and get them to any type of a booking. Just based on all of the realignment and the changes that have been made that make it harder and harder for juvenile crime to be really prevalent with law enforcement and detention.
I have a question on that comment. Has that raised the amount of money that the county's spending on each one of those?
Yes, it has.
By considerable amount.
Yes, it has. And we do receive juvenile justice realignment block grant funds. It's typically $250,000 for the minimum. And we do set aside, we have a reserve amount, if you'll remember from the budgets, that we utilize for the detention of those youth who commit the most serious and violent felonies.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, is there anybody from the public? Okay, seeing none.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion made by
And authorize the chairman to execute the agreement.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Supervisor Bridges, seconded by Supervisor Alba. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Jen.
Great. So item number 2, today we have the purchase of public safety equipment. So probably about 5 years ago now, I believe, we brought a proposal for Axon Teaser 7s so that all of our law enforcement partners were utilizing the same equipment. We feel that that's very important because we all need to know how to utilize each other's safety mechanisms in order to effect public safety the most effectively. So the last purchase that we really looked at was our body camera systems. Currently, the police department and I believe CAL FIRE CHP have Axon body cams, and the sheriff's department and the probation department are still using Visual Labs, which is tied to a cell phone, which makes it very difficult to automatically be able to start your camera or not start your camera. Sometimes it creates a lot of accidental starts. One thing is definitely for sure is when you're in a situation and you pull your taser, if you move towards the Axon body cameras, that automatically activates so that there's no accident, forgot just because you're right in the middle of something. We've deemed Axon a sole source purchase at that point for tasers because they really are the only one that provides that law enforcement taser. We would ask that that be the same as a sole source purchase because Axon body cameras are tied directly to your tasers, and it makes it a lot simpler to manage evidence and to manage all of the footage rather than having to go to 2 separate systems. You now only have one system that carries all of that. We are making this purchase out of the reserves from the Community Corrections Partnership Fund because we believe in really trying to offset any kind of larger purchase public safety wise to the general fund and utilizing it for its intended purpose.
I got a couple questions. Okay. What if the body camera is already on and they reach for the taser? Will it turn it off?
No.
And what's the battery life? I know that's.
The battery life is, I believe it's 8 hours, but I do believe that you can get a charger that is within the car. And I would look to Silas or John for that because the batteries are not my area of expertise. You want to do that?
8 hours.
Well, I talk about that, you need to, but I know that there, like anything else, there's multiple avenues for charging an item. CAL FIRE uses a really interesting method, which I think Jen and I are interested in for using. It's a magnet, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, so the battery, in our experience, battery life depends on administrator settings, because you can have standby, you can have it record no audio, just video for 30 seconds in the background. Anytime it's on, that'll get you like an 8-hour battery life. If you turn some of those settings off, you can get a 12-hour battery life. But Axon makes a magnetic charger that goes into a USB port in your patrol unit, so it can be just plugged in while you're driving around, and if you go to get out quick, it just disconnects on its own, and so you can maintain a charge and get through a shift pretty easily.
So there are multiple options that can be used.
And those will be add-on options that if a single department wants to be able to purchase that, then they can.
Right. I was just curious. I know the battery life's always been a problem.
Well, I mean, it is. I mean, when you work 12-hour shifts and it's typically an 8-hour charge, it can cause issues. And obviously, like Silas was saying, some of it goes to usage, settings. There's a lot of things that could affect that, so.
Cool.
Yes.
As I was reading the proposal, I saw a lot of different numbers. How many active units are you talking about and how are they going to be distributed?
So these units will be distributed between the sheriff's department and the probation department. So we will have 16 and then the rest will go to patrol and to the jail.
Mm-hmm. I didn't hear the full number.
15 to the probation department and the rest will go to the sheriff's department for patrol and the jail.
What's the rest of it? What's the other number? The total number of units?
It should be 75.
Yes. Approximately.
It's the same way that we did the tasers. So what we needed is a match between the body camera and the taser count.
Thank you. You have 75 people on, you don't have any deputies.
Well, I have 100 positions, but I have, as far as sworn staff to be wearing it, I have approximately 50.
50 to 60 that are actually employed between patrol, command staff, jail staff that are actually going to be using, because we're going to individually issue these to the person like the tasers. So that way you have that you have that connection. And honestly, when people are issued stuff directly to them, it tends to last longer. And it's not getting rotated around. And really there's a lot of pluses. So I am trying to gain staff, as you know. So not all of these might be issued right out of the gate. Some might be sitting in the back for spares. We still have extra tasers sitting around. As we gain people, they'll get issued these items.
And being able to have replacement equipment readily handy is a big benefit, because if your taser breaks today, what are you going to use tomorrow? We typically don't have that ability to have something to replace it with, or you would be waiting until something comes from back from Axon, or you're going to have to borrow something from someone else, which is never a good practice.
And when we used to do this, we'd have to send them off to be repaired back to Axon, and that could take months if they can repair it at all. And then if they can't repair it, depending on the age of the equipment, you'd have to buy whatever the newest thing is to replace it.
Well, that's good to get some extra on there. Now, do you have to find a new software for this too, or no?
No.
It's all good.
Any other questions?
No. How long, what, do they have a warranty on these?
They do. We have a 5-year plan for them currently. And it's the same plan that we utilized with the tasers. We get all of our training equipment and our new cartridges and maintenance every year.
The software can update, keep your video and audio software.
Every time that you dock them.
Yeah, that does it on its own now. We used to be, I'd have to plug it into a computer and upload it. You don't have to do that anymore.
And where's all this video and whatnot stored at? Is it stored in-house, or does it go back to the company?
It's stored in Axon.
Okay. And you have full access to that anytime you want?
Yes.
We do.
Is there any training involved in this?
No.
Actually, they're a lot easier to use than the digital labs we use now. If you don't have you'll see a lot of my personnel, they'll have a button on their lapel that they push. It's a Bluetooth accessible button that goes to that. This goes back to a little more of gross motor skills. It's a big button right in the center that you push to activate, and there's all sorts of things you can do with it, but it's a lot simpler to activate than the digital lab stuff.
So basically, probation's paying for all this and letting the sheriffs use it.
The Community Corrections Partnership is paying for it, and we're all being able to use it. When we did our previous purchase, we included the city for the police department, just because we believe in everybody having the same equipment. It's much more effective. And this time, the city already purchased body cameras, and they're currently using the Axon body cameras. And so we're just purchasing for the sheriff's department and probation.
Oh, good. I'm glad that the sheriff will have access to you. All you guys have access to that.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you have video cameras on your cars, I'm assuming?
No. We tried that program probably been almost 20 years ago. And we have a few dirt roads in Lassen County, and the dash cams really didn't hold up well to that. We haven't found a good solution to that yet.
But you can capture more with the Axon body camera than you can with the visual apps. There are times that, the phone will slip down inside of whatever vest pocket it is that you have it on, or anything like that. And it really creates a lot of problems. You get phone calls on the phone while it's recording. It makes things a little bit harder than what they should be.
Good stuff.
It is. So actually, if you are in some kind of a high-speed chase, you could activate your body cam.
And we actually have a policy regarding that we should try to capture those things on body camera if we can. A lot of times we get a great view of the steering wheel and speedometer recording the speed that I really didn't want to see. So
I was going to ask if the body cam could see over the dash into what you're
They make mounts and stuff like that for those. We haven't really looked at that stuff.
The first hurdle is getting through the initial purchase and being able to look at what are the capabilities outside of what we've already identified, and then seeing how we can expand on that.
Oh, quick, man.
All right. Is there anybody from the public? Okay, seeing none, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase and authorize the probation department to purchase the request body worn cameras from Axon in the amount not to exceed $551,384.03.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion made by Supervisor Bridges, second by Supervisor Scanlon. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Better be a good video call.
Thank you, Silas.
Price.
It should be high definition, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
It's a pretty
Yes.
good.
You know, this is a huge step for us, so we definitely really appreciate it. It's going to be a nice addition to what we currently have for all of our public safety equipment. So now for our third item for today. Yes, look at me. Try to get it all done at once.
You're on a roll.
Yes, so if you'll remember, we brought forward a request for quotes and got your approval to look at purchasing 3 Ford F-150 vehicles. We did that so that we could look at having some local opportunities for purchasing of vehicles. So out of our first request, we didn't receive any quotes. We got one that was late, so we extended it and reopened it. And we still only received the one from, I believe, Crown Motors in Red Bluff. So they also came in at a price that was under what we had expected and planned. So that was an even bigger benefit. So today we are bringing that forward to you to request your approval to make the purchase.
Susanville Motors would match the price, I'm guessing.
Susanville Motors didn't put in a quote.
Wow.
So why do you do it this way instead of going through CMS?
I did it so that we could have the opportunity to, because these are all state funds that we are purchasing these with. So I did it so that we would have an opportunity to partner with any local business that was interested, and we would be able to keep the taxes local.
No, that's cool. And that's good. I'm glad that you provided that opportunity. Too bad somebody a little bit closer didn't take into it, but Reading's not that far off.
No, it's not. So, you know, if we ever have an opportunity to do this in the future, we'll do it again and we'll see who bids for it. That way, we at least have provided our local community with the opportunity to supply us with vehicles.
And how did this price, doing it this way, compare to what would these same 3 vehicles would have cost you on CMAS?
I want to say that I looked at Sourcewell, which is the same as CMAS, and it was like 52,000. So this one is about $8,000 less than that.
This is a better way to go.
Yeah, it was.
Outstanding.
Yes.
So,
thank you.
See you.
Always trying something different.
Yeah. Well,
just trying to do what's best, you know, for the greater good. In all honesty, you know, and you just try to do what's right. So, somebody had mentioned that they hadn't had opportunities to purchase or to sell vehicles to the county, and I thought, well, why not? It just takes me 10 or 15 extra minutes. I can do that.
Yeah. Well, and it paid off. So kudos for you for thinking outside of the box in more ways.
Thank you.
Yes, Juan.
Was there any kind of particular reason for going with the F-150 double cab versus like an Explorer?
Yes, because part of that is for the detention of juveniles. When you look at where all of our contact facilities are. We needed a four-wheel drive vehicle to be able to get back and forth because we also sometimes have to move juveniles from one juvenile hall to another juvenile detention facility. And in inclement weather, having a four-wheel drive is a lot more beneficial than having just an all-wheel drive vehicle. So that's why we did that.
For only all-wheel drive versus four-wheel drive?
Yes, as far as I'm aware. And there's not as much length in them. And it's a little bit easier to maneuver within some of the mountainous areas and the passes and the stuff that we're going through with those juveniles.
Okay. Is there anybody from the public want to comment? Seeing none, bring it back up here for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase and authorize the probation department to purchase the requested trucks from Crown Motors LLC in an amount not to exceed $146,088.
Okay. Motion made by Supervisor Bridges, second by Supervisor Alba. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your
Thank
day.
you, Ken.
Go get lunch.
I'm going. Somebody teaching, right? It's like, someone bring a snack. Bye.
Okay, so we're gonna take a lunch break and continue on.
You got a meeting at 1.
And,
Oh, is it 3? Oh,
what didn't we finish?
we gotta finish closed session.
Well, right, that's
It's just one
other
item.
There's just two quick updates on closed session.
Yeah, just on.
Finish.
Yeah.
H7, have you recorded?
H7, I have nothing to report other than I will be gone this week. Samantha will be taking over as CAO, and that's all I have.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are we having board on Tuesday?
We are not.
Thank you.
Well, we are not having board on the, I can't see,
25th.
25th.
No board meeting on 25th.
Right.
So our next meeting is gonna be December 9th.
That's correct.
And just for planning purposes, we're gonna go the 9th and the 16th,
That's correct.
and that's it.
That's so far that unless there's,
That's the tentative schedule.
yeah. That's the tentative schedule, unless there's something that has to happen on the 23rd, which
And Andrew, we just have 2 quick ones to go through and close after you.
I would say so. Obviously depending upon how many questions the board has, but
Wonder who would have the questions.
soon.
Okay, so at this time, we are going to go back into closed session.
There's